Welcome everyone. Today we will discuss about aging because we are working with few healthcare workers. They are very professional. So hello Mr. Alex and Angela. So how are you? How you want to share your views about fighting against aging? So if you share some of your views about after my presentation about the healthcare system, it will be helpful for our audience. So fight aging. Do you want to live a longer life? Is good health? Simple practice can make some difference, such as exercise or calories restriction. But over the long haul, all that really matter is progress is in medicine. Building new classes of therapy to repairs and reverse the known root cause of aging. The sooner these treatments arrive, the move line will be saved. Find out how to help. Longevity in 21st century. Demographic research, Leonin Gravins and Natalie Garilova appointed this PowerPoint presentation. The present level of development of aging and longevity research justified an Apollo type effort to control aging. The presentation is a good overview of presented established trends and viewpoint held in the mainstream of medical research. In essence, present trend led to only model gain in human life span if extrapolated. But extrapolations, always a dangerous undertaking, is particularly foolhardy in these early years of biotechnology revolution. The oldest and most extensive demographic data is next to useless now. Mortality trends before the 1950s are useless or even misleading for current forecast because all the rules of the game has been changed. Further, the technologies that may lead to radical extensions of the health human lifespan, such as realizations of the strategy for engineers negligible senses, are the most uncertain in terms of timing. The present pace of research is both rapid or unpredictable, so is the time it will take for new paradigm of longevity science to become dominant in large research communities. The story of longevity in the 21st century is one of the greatest unpredictability. But the flip side of the pronouncement is that the future is open to change. The more we do now to accelerate research and advocate longevity science, the sooner we will see the result. So this is some of the interesting aspects of longevity. So dear friends, uh, I just want to know, what is the number one, the healthcare conditions, and what is the research conditions? Let's say how you do research in Africa, especially for the healthcare sectors, Mr. Alex.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President, for a very interesting topic. Aging is a healthcare issue that has been quite of interest to so many researchers, uh, both globally and in Africa in particular. I know of some organizations within Africa that are involved in research purposes, and I have a case in point. Kemri, for example, in East Africa, is a well-known research organization that has done a couple of research, among others. And of particular interest is the topic of aging, whereby uh, a, a cross section of the papers which have been done around, it has shown indeed that although aging is a natural process where human beings sometimes might be very limited in terms of what they need to do, but in terms of the research that has come out, it has shown that there are a couple of things that can be done indeed to increase longevity in human beings, because once people start getting old, degeneration takes place, and we have what we call lifestyle diseases that come through, and this is what brings about short life or death in some of the communities around. Um, in Africa, particularly, research has shown that there are a lot of food or substances, some supplements which can help out in, in in promoting health, and therefore overall increasing the health status of the communities around and promoting longer life. Apart from food supplements, we do have promotion of food substances whereby communities are I mean, the research has come up with with the feeds which can help the human body so that it can reduce the regression towards aging. Apart from that, people have been advised across the board to seek early medical checkups so that in case there is any health issues, they can indeed be detected early in advance. And apart from that, people are encouraged to go in sports and other co-curricular activities, which in the long run can help the body regain its strength and help decrease the aging process. So,
Thank,
in a nutshell, that is how I'll begin in this topic, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
thank you, Madam Angela. So, what is your guideline specifically for fighting agings and these things?
Well, in as much as the world has revolutionized so much in the 21st century, in terms of improvement of medical treatments and new new types of inventions have come up and approaches to help prevention and to treat some of the diseases. A lot is a lot of emphasis needs to be put, especially onto the prevention side, especially in the current situation. For example, if you take a look at what we currently consume as a continent is uh, is not healthy as such, because if you would compare like a few years back, our mothers and our grandmothers, whatever food feeds they used to consume used to be more natural, and there was never a lot of GMOs, a lot of insecticides and pesticides which were being used in either growing the foods itself or incorporated in the foods to fasten the growth for the sake of making a quick money or something like that. And in a way, this has contributed quite negatively on the current health situation of of the current generation right now, because most of the people are thinking of getting quick money. Most uh, farms, most organizations, most business people are looking into getting quick cash rather than preserving good health and long life. And this comes with a lot of costs, which means we are getting a lot of increase in diseases like cancer, which are traced back to even the foods that we are eating. Secondly, much as we have tried in coming up with research methodologies and trying to come up with solutions to curb this trend and try and change the trajectory of the human nature in the 21st century. It is also not, it's a bit, and it's undeniable that enough has not been done in terms of research, because as we know, research also needs funding. So if we do not fund institutions well enough to carry on with the research, then we would really not know what is really good for us and what is against us. So basically, a lot needs still to be done in globally. It's not necessarily in Africa. We need to go back to our old ways of doing things, especially when it comes to exercises. Much as we have things have changed, and a lot of people are now actually working, and the work schedule is also taking a lot of their time, and this also takes them away from the normal routine that they could have taken, like doing normal exercises and such like things. So that is a bit of what I would shed light upon, because we really need to look at the overall outcome of our health and take personal control of our own health. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, okay. Uh, Another things like I want to know more about African present COVID situation and your vaccine situations. Mr. Alex.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Um, it is no doubt that COVID has been a global challenge, and particularly in Africa, we have had our fair share of problems in regards to the COVID pandemic. And uh, when the trend was looking like it was improving, uh, due to various laid down measures that several governments had put in place, including vaccination, to fight back on the pandemic. We still have challenges in African setup in most areas and most governments. The first initial challenge that people are facing this side is that even though initially there was unavailability of the vaccine, in that when the pandemic broke out, we saw that most of the companies that came up with the vaccines were from the West. And by the time some of the struggling African countries were able to be able to source those vaccines, the pandemic had already claimed fairly a big part of the population. However, once the rollout went through, then came other challenges in terms of the population, whereby not everyone has really accepted the vaccine that have been rolled out. And matters are not being helped by news which was being spread across in various social forums. I would call them myths in regards to the vaccines, in that the population, even though now we do have the vaccines around, uh, uh, people tended to think that they treated the vaccines with a lot of suspicion. And this has now been a new challenge to the government to try to um, advocate or try by all means to make the population accept the kind of vaccines that are in place right now. Vaccines themselves, they have come with their own side effects. We have had situations whereby um, uh, a few people within the population have had some reactions based clearly on the vaccines that they have received in terms of there are confirmed cases whereby some populations have presented with the, let's say, blood clots and that kind of a thing, but these are minor in overall time. So this one has greatly really affected the rollout program that the governments had put in place in Africa. But the overall challenge, I mean, the overall progress is that quite a good, significant population of the Africans have gone ahead and received the vaccines, and especially in the, for example, in the health
Thank you.
sector.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Madam Angela.
Thank
Uh,
you, Mr. President. Can I proceed? Can I proceed, Mr. President? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Angela.
I would say in the current I would say in the current situation, what has come up clearly is that Africa as a continent um, uh, had a lot of setbacks in terms of sourcing for the vaccines. This fact was not made easier by the fact that the vaccines were not being produced or being manufactured within Africa. So this put a lot of pressure within African governments, such that even if they had the money to source for the vaccines, they did not get the vaccines on time, and this led to a numerous number of deaths, which could have been avoided if the situation was otherwise. Secondly, a lot of governments never rolled out campaign informations and just to educate and give a lot of information about the vaccines to the population. So a number of people and a good number of the population got the myths and the wrong information from social media, which actually scared them, and this hindered the uptake of the vaccine in overall in most of the countries. So governments should have taken actually, in my view, a better approach on educating the population rather than rolling out the vaccines without share part of educating the masses out there. And in as much as vaccines have their own side effects, this is not something new, because it is with all medicines, we will always have people react differently. So this should have not been a main hindrance to the uptake of the vaccine. And in as much as people went with the myths which they found around in the social media, I would actually say that the benefits of the vaccine really outweighs the shortcomings of the vaccine. So, in essence, Africa needed to do just a little more on educating the masses about the the uptake of taking of the vaccines and protecting the population. And secondly, apart from the vaccine issue, Africa as a continent has been a bit behind in terms of resources. Our healthcare has been really lagging behind in terms of resources, and COVID did not make matters any better. And it really ate up to a sheer number of the already debilitated resources that Africa had. So this really put a lot of economical strain on the healthcare resource system, which has really dragged Africa back. And we hope that maybe now that COVID never gave us any warning, we hope that moving so forward, African leaders are going to act more differently and put in better policies in terms of prevention rather than wait until we have a pandemic then tackle the
Thank
issue,
you.
Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Thank you. So my objective is that like you can prepare some knowledge based preparations. Let's say you can prepare your note, you can prepare your concept note. Let's say 2 pages, and tomorrow we're gonna discuss on that. Especially you can prepare note on healthcare system in Africa or impact of COVID in Africa. Okay, so we will discuss. We will do more teamwork and group work together. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
thank you, thank you. Today you do excellent work. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.